Hey leaders, Carey Nieuwhof here, and in this short video, I want to share with you the second of 7 disruptive church trends that every pastor should be watching as we head into the new normal. Now, we don't really know what the new normal is, but I think between the data that we're collecting and the things that we're seeing, there are probably some trends along the way that every leader should be paying attention to. This video is part of a series of videos that you can find on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, so make sure you watch the entire series. But I want to get to the second church trend that I'm paying attention to, and I would encourage you to as well. And it's simply this, that the rush back to church is not exactly the rush that every pastor is longing for. So reopening the church is proving to be much more complicated than shutting our buildings down ever was. I mean, we went in a matter of hours from we're going to meet to no, we're not going to meet, and we're moving online. But clearly, reopening is going to be a lot more complicated. And there's a number of factors that really are in play here. And that's what I want to share with you. And I want to get you to think about your interim strategy and perhaps your long-term strategy associated with this trend. So, I think we have this all imaginary idea that one day the light switch would go back on, we just open up our doors, and everything would be back to normal. And clearly we are not living in that world, and that phase of normal isn't going to come for a little while, hopefully soon, but perhaps for quite a while. And here's why. I mean, obviously, social distancing, so you can reopen your auditorium whenever the authorities allow, but maybe you have to leave every 5 seats empty or every other row empty. And then in addition to that, there's not only the legal restrictions, which are going to be phased in over time to the point where we hopefully one day, when there's a vaccine or when everyone's well or the virus goes away, where everybody can go back to the way it was before. But in the meantime, there's a psychological factor that I think a lot of us are forgetting. So let's just imagine that you reopened your building tomorrow and all the restrictions were lifted. There is a psychological thing going on. So in some polling that I've seen from Glue and Barna, we've learned a few things along the way. One is that even if the doors were open, not everybody is ready to rush back. Some people are saying they want to wait till there's a vaccine. Some people are saying, I'll wait until I don't have to wear a mask. Other people are saying, I don't really know what has to be true, like all the boxes have to be ticked, or I don't even know when I'm going to come back. Like that's up to 30% of people saying, I'm not sure I'm coming back. The other thing that's flipped, and I share this in some other church trends, is a lot of people have gotten used to digital church. And I'm not saying that's a great thing, or I'm not saying that that is something that people should use as a substitute for gathering, but I am saying it's a real possibility some people will. So when you're in your mind thinking, okay, we're just going to, throw open the doors, everyone's coming back, I think that puts you in a very dangerous position. And I think that puts you actually in a dangerous position strategically and emotionally. Emotionally, it's just going to lead to disappointment because you keep looking out over a half-empty auditorium and you realize that probably some 60 plus people are not coming back till there's a vaccine. People who've had other immune issues may not be coming back. Then there's the whole psychological factor and the factor that some people love church online, and it can be a very disruptive future if you're not careful. So what do you do about that? Well, what I would encourage you to do is not give up. Don't over-focus on reopening the building because you may end up behaving like kind of, malls in the age of Amazon, and you don't want to be that person. So what I would say is don't let up on your online presence. There's a lot of people who can't be there or won't be there that need you right now. And so you probably want to be drilling as heavily or perhaps even more heavily into your online presence as you are into your physical presence as the future moves forward, because I think it's going to be a long return to whatever the new normal is. So that's a church trend that I've got my eye on. I'll be sharing others in this series, and I hope you'll check those out. In the meantime, it's pretty clear that the new normal isn't going to be settled for a while. And I got a brand new resource to help you pivot, because my guess is we're going to be changing fairly regularly over the next few months or perhaps even a year or more. And I've introduced a brand new training series called the 30-Day Pivot. And the 30-Day Pivot is a simple framework that I've used to pivot, and I believe it can help you reach more people. So you can check that out at the30daypivot.com at the link below or the link in my profile, and I hope you'll check that out. I hope it'll help your team pivot regularly, because in the future, flexibility is ability and agility is a superpower, and particularly as we move into this crazy new normal, whatever that is. And I'd also love to hear from you. So please leave a comment below. Let me know what you're discovering about the return to church and the reopening to church and what you think about the future. So leave a comment below.